Well, for the final two episodes of the third season for Blake 7, they both had ominous titles, Deathwatch and Terminal. But it did have one more season after that, so maybe not so ominous, but anyway, Deathwatch concerned this sort of gladiatorial match that's put on as a sporting event for people to watch, and not only watch it but experience it. So the combatants get outfitted with this headpiece that links their minds to this network, and the viewers put these patches on their foreheads. And not only are they able, you can't just watch the match on screen, but you can experience it depending on which of the two combatants you've chosen. You experience the fight through their thoughts. So it's like you're there, I don't know why you would want to do that. So, of course, they do. So the crew of the Liberator does this. And their involvement in it turns out Tarrant has a brother. They don't say he's a twin brother, but since both characters are played by the same actor, you would think that it's just one has curly hair, the regular Tarrant, and the other one doesn't. It's almost like a Elvis do. But anyway, so Tarrant's brother is the combatant sitting in there, and the stakes of it aren't just people betting and all that sort of thing, but governments decide their fate in this. So instead of going to war and everything, winner takes all, and so Tarrant is tasked with representing this planet, what have you. And so he goes into it, and he doesn't get a chance to meet his brother. He's aware he's there, but he's got to go do the match. They go through these doors. They have to put on these really cheesy outfits. And then they meet up, and in this case, they were sent to some, desolate ruins or some sort. And they have pistols. And that's the duel. And they stalk one another. And then it looks like Tarrant's got the drop on this guy, but the other guy wins and Tarrant dies. So, of course, Liberator Tarrant is all upset. But as it turns out of the rules, as his brother and family, he has a right to vengeance or whatever. So the match is set again for him to take on this guy. In the meantime, they investigate what they've seen. Of course, there's shenanigans afoot because Servalan shows up as one of the main officials ruling over the game. And, Avon and what have you figures out that if cheating could be exposed, then the match is off and a war could erupt between the two worlds. And for Servalan's ends, that's good for the Federation because whoever wins, they'll take out the winner and conquer both. So that's obviously the plot. So how did they cheat? Well, the other combatant was an android, and so he could move faster, and of course the bullets wouldn't affect him as much. So Tarrant takes on the match and fries the guy and gets his revenge. And so that's that, and the world that his brother was representing wins the match and what have you. And but unfortunately, his brother is dead. And off they go, but they've managed to foil yet another sinister plot from Servalan. However, there was a little touching moment between her and Avon because they really hate each other, but man, do they want to do it. But oh well, it was not to be. It would have been cool if they had been cast. It was, Avon Polidoro being cast as the Master in Doctor Who. He would have made a great Master. And then Servalan could have been the Ronnie, That would have been cool. But, you know, we just can't have nice things. So, the final episode, gee, how do you end off the season with something rather surprising? And they managed to do it right off the bat. Oh, Avon won't tell the other crew members what he's up to. He says he's got a debt to pay. He leads the ship in some uncharted areas of space. They go through this nebula, which that turns out to be the bigger mistake here. And he goes through it, and it's rather dangerous, but the ship's Zen says, everything's fine, but it's not. It received terrible damage in it, and slowly but surely is corroding the ship. Meanwhile, Avon forbids the rest of them to follow him. He says, give me an hour. If I don't return, leave. So he goes to this planet, which isn't really a planet. It's an artificial planet called Terminal that was part of some experiment to, well, create an artificial planet. And somehow it was moved out to this, because apparently it wasn't that, it was within the solar system originally, and now it's, you know, out in deep space. And so there's all these different clues and whatnot that Avon has to answer to get to where he's supposed to go to meet this super secret person. And so he gets there. Meanwhile, there's these weird people, a man and a woman, but both wearing a Prince Valiant blonde wig. It looked better on her than him. And you think, oh, there's going to be this confrontation between Avon and them, but no, they get brutalized and murdered by a gang of ape men or something like that. And so, oh no. But eventually, Tarrant and Callie, well, they chase after Avon to find out what's going on. And anyway, it all ends up in this underground complex. And who is the one that Avon gets captured, but he manages to escape his cell, and he's wandering around, and then he finds the person he was trying to meet, and lo and behold, it's Blake. Blake's bearded and laying on some table, recovering from the injuries he must have suffered in the when the alien war that the Liberator suffered. And so Blake's like, okay, I'm gonna work to get you back to the Liberator and all that sort of stuff. And then, oh no, the guards are coming. So he goes around, but eventually gets recaptured along with Tarrant and Callie. And surprise, who's behind it all? Serverland! Yeah, Serverland's behind it all. And this was all a plot to lure Avon and the crew out, thinking they were going to recover Blake, and so she could capture the Liberator, which is, of course, the greatest starship in the region. And she has plans to back engineer a whole fleet of them, making the Federation the dominant force in the known universe. The only problem here is she says, yeah, I lured you in with that, but what was it that she could have used to convince Blake that Avon, that this was the real Blake? She reveals it was all an illusion played on him, that Blake was never there, and all this sort of stuff. But you know, what clues could she have known that only Blake would know that Avon would believe, or something along those lines? You know, it's not really clear, and it's kind of like, you know. Probably a better aspect would be to suggest that she was lying and no, that was Blake, you know. But anyway, she succeeds. They're trapped. Avon tries to tell the crew to leave and all that stuff, but he doesn't realize that the ship has suffered severe damage. The whole set is literally just melting. There's goo everywhere. It's pretty nasty looking. And Villa and Dana are pretty much helpless to do anything. They try, you know, and they try to get Zen to take certain things off of the precautions to try to restore it. It doesn't work. But so Serverland's plan works. The crew are stranded on the terminal planet. She tells them there's a ship, but it might need some work for them to use. And she teleports up to Liberator with her crew, and she barks orders for them to take charge of the ship, even though everything is just this slimy goo all over the place and they don't even notice. And it's like, oh man, these rebels are slobs and filthy. I don't know. So they take control of the ship and they decide to fire up the engines and take off, but as a result of that, a chain reaction takes place and the Liberator is destroyed. It appears Serverland at the last minute managed to teleport out. Of course. But it blows up as the crew are down below watching this on a monitor, and that's that. There's no more Liberator. But they survived, and now they got to go seek out this other ship in the hopes of escaping. But since they ended up, this was all for nothing on the part of Serverland, Avon has a little grin as he walks away before the credits roll. So there you have it. Blake made an appearance finally after disappearing from the show because the actor just didn't want to do it anymore. But where it's going, I think you could conceive of that it really was Blake, and things move on from there. But no, the point of the story was that it was a fake out or what have you, for the trap, But anyway, that was a cool thing to do, to arrange that. And all he had to do is say, hey, we just need you to shoot a few scenes with Paul Darrow, and you just lay down, You don't really have to work at all. So, yeah, all right. So that's that. So Serverland tells them that Blake is dead. But is he? Well, I think I've already spoiled that. But anyway, a pretty fine ending. It would get another season, its final season. But even if they had ended it there, it says, well, they go off to fight another day. They got the better of Serverland. She never did get the ultimate weapon of the Liberator, since it's now been destroyed. And more or less, that's a victory. Of course, the idea for Blake was to start this revolution to overthrow the Federation. And that's one of the interesting ideas about Blake 7, is that this is just not really possible for them. And that's adds to the rather dark nature of the story. So anyway, a pretty solid third season for the show, even though the main character and lead actor was no longer a part of it. But they cobbled together what they had. They made a star of Avon anyway, and off you go. So off we'll go for the fourth and final season of Blake 7.